Okay, good morning, everyone. We have a good group here live at the sixth floor at the Candy Factory in downtown Lancaster. The Candy Factory is the home for multiple businesses. It is a co-working community, and that is where my wife and I, Janet's here. We have opened the EXP Realty branch based here out of the Candy Factory. So one of the cool amenities that we have is this fantastic space called the sixth floor Lancaster. We also have studios, offices, and actually a podcast and video studio across the parking lot. So this is our success seminar series from our event called Rockstar Connect Lancaster. So Rockstar Connect Lancaster, we founded it 5 years ago. It is a free to attend networking event. We do host live monthly business networking events, 6 to 8 p.m., second Thursday of every month. Currently, our venue that we go to month in and month out is Stoner Grill over at, I guess it's Overlook Park. So if you see the putt-putt right there by Manheim Township Public Library, we're right inside. So the next one is coming up on September 8th. We invite everyone to come out and join us live in person for face-to-face, belly-to-belly networking, where you can actually connect with somebody. Our focus is building relationships first, and then we can build a business relationship off of that connection. So definitely put that into your calendar. We'd love to see you out there. It is going to be that Thursday just after Labor Day, but kids are headed back to school. Yay! Very excited about that.
Go have a drink.
Yeah, yep, it's definitely mix and mingle. There's not a presentation or an expectation for taking attendance. You don't have a minimum number of referrals that you need to hand out. We also do have our Facebook group, Rockstar Connect Lancaster, and we do post those events onto LinkedIn, which is what we're going to talk about today. So today, our topic is LinkedIn and how to write a profile and manage it like a rock star. So we have our presenter, Ms. Sarah Mahazy, who has joined us, and she is going to kind of walk through those steps and help us all grow our presence on LinkedIn. So with that, Sarah, if you can introduce yourself and tell folks about who you are and what you do.
Hi, everyone. So my name is, like Chuck said, Sarah Mahazy. So currently in life, I'm also a college student. So I'm going into my junior year at Lancaster Bible College. And then about 8 months ago, in the beginning of the year, I started a business called Impressions Matter, where I make people's LinkedIn profiles. So today, kind of like Chuck said, talking through how to write the profile and how to manage it. But before we get into that, a question I have for you guys that I encourage you to kind of discuss amongst yourself for a few minutes. What do you guys think is the most important part of your LinkedIn profile?
Headshot.
Anyone
Yeah,
else?
right?
Yeah, headshot is important.
About me?
Yeah, about me.
Your title.
You mean like your headline?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's no like really right answer. I just always like to hear everyone's thoughts on that. For me, I do headshot is huge. I do really love the about section when I write that for my clients. That's really where I get into kind of telling people's career journeys and their stories, which is a lot of fun. So I did hand out notes for you guys. If no one got them, there's a stack over here that you can grab one, or if you want an extra one. But so yeah, so for starting at the first part of your LinkedIn profile is your LinkedIn banner. So that is like the background image behind your LinkedIn photo. And to create one, it's pretty simple. You can go on Canva and create one for free. Obviously, there are some of those limitations if you don't have the pro account, but it's pretty simple and pretty easy. And then as far as some visual elements to use, I would encourage you to use your company logo and then maybe just some images that represent what you do. So, you know, like for me, I have my logo and then I have a picture that kind of shows the LinkedIn app because that's what I do. And then You also want to make sure, obviously, once you put it in to see how it looks, because you will notice that the your profile picture does block part of the LinkedIn banner. And so sometimes you'll design it, and then once you put it in, what will happen is something will be blocked and it'll look weird depending on what picture you have. So again, just make sure to see how it looks. And then you'll see in the notes, I also have the specs for the banner, which is, I guess I'll say it since we're live stream, 646 by 220. And so, yeah. And then the next part of your profile is your profile picture. So my first point is make sure the profile picture looks like you. And I know this point seems like kind of dumb and obvious, but you guys would be amazed at how often people's pictures look absolutely nothing like them. And the thing is, if, you know, like there have been times where I'm meeting someone, right, and I only have that picture to go off of. So if that picture doesn't look like you, like that's kind of hard when I go to, you know, like Panera Bread and I'm trying to find you, right, if I have no idea what you look like. So make sure it looks like you. Some other guidelines to follow, just make sure that it's a high resolution picture, kind of having 60% of the frame take up your face, and you can kind of crop it and zoom it in if you need to, and then just make sure you're the only person in the picture. Again, probably another point that seems obvious, but a lot of times people might be in like a group picture, and again, like if someone doesn't know you, they don't know who you are in the picture, right? So just make sure it's only you, and make sure that, yeah, the expression, and then just some additional things. Make sure that you kind of would wear what you would wear to work. I know, like, kind of maybe a longer time ago, everyone had like these, you know, super nice headshots, and now like obviously what we wear to work has kind of changed in you know, the level of being professional. So just again, to kind of be relatable, make sure that you're wearing something similar to what you'd wear to work. And then I would also definitely recommend investing in a professional picture if you're willing to. Again, certainly not necessary. You can have someone else take the picture on your phone. But yeah, definitely, I think it's worth the investment, because if you use it for your LinkedIn profile, you'll probably need it for other things anyways. And then another option is you can add a 30-second video to your profile picture. So basically doing this, it kind of just helps you get more views on your profile. Just kind of think of it as an opportunity to share, almost like what you would do in your elevator pitch. Again, it doesn't have to be crazy. Just, you know, record it on your phone and then you can upload it through the app. Pretty simple and easy, but it does have to be 30 seconds or less. Otherwise, LinkedIn won't let you upload that. And then moving on. So before I get into the next part of the profile, just some other things that you guys want to check kind of related to the top of your profile. I always recommend that people turn on creator mode. So what does creator mode do? So basically there's a few things that it does. First, you can add up to 5 hashtags under your name, which allows you, those are kind of just think of hashtags that you would post about. And when you are looking that, you definitely want to make sure to look up some hashtags on LinkedIn, make sure that it's an existing hashtag. Make sure that you're picking a hashtag that doesn't have like millions of followers, because then the hashtag's not really effective, because you just, you know, there's thousands of posts. So make sure, like, maybe to find something 10,000 followers or under. It can be, of course, a little bit over that. But just, again, you want it to be something that doesn't have so many followers that, like, there's not really a point in using those hashtags anymore.
How do you find that? Does it, I don't know.
Yeah, so and when you go into LinkedIn, you can just go into the search bar and type hashtag and then look up whatever you want. And then it'll show you like how many followers that hashtag has and if it's an existing one.
Okay, so okay.
Yeah, just in
Okay.
the search bar.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then yeah, and then it also, again, just allows you to have that higher chance of possibly having a trending post. And then the other thing that it does, it also changes your connect button to a follow button. So yeah, you are able to still obviously connect with people even if you turn on creator mode. The biggest thing the follow button does is it just encourages people that might like your content that don't know you to follow you, because obviously those that are connected to you are the people within your network. So it kind of helps you grow your audience beyond just the people you know if they want to follow you. And then the other option it allows you to do is you can showcase the services that you offer. So with this, yeah, and also if you're looking for a job or hiring. So with the services, once you add your services, you want to make sure you can add description, your location, you know, if you're available to work remotely or in or in person. And also recently they added the option to add media items of examples of your work, and as well as some customer reviews. So definitely encourage you to add that if you have services. People can actually request your services directly through your profile, which is pretty cool.
This is another, turn on the creator mode. How do I do that?
Yeah, so if you scroll down, like it won't show up.
Where am I? Am I in my profile?
Yeah,
Or
so if you
I'm putting in my credentials, right?
Yeah, so if you
Okay.
scroll down a little bit, you'll see an option that says creator mode, and then you
Okay.
click into that and you can turn that on and add those hashtags.
If I ask too many questions, just.
No, that's totally fine. And then next, you want to make sure to check your profile visibility. So a lot of times, again, we set up our profile. We don't think about the behind the scenes settings of LinkedIn, but obviously, again, like if you want your reach to be far, you want your profile to be public. And sometimes like you go in and you'll just see weird settings. Like there's a setting that makes it so that people that aren't connected to you can't see your picture or can't see your full name or whatever it is. So just going in and making sure that all of every aspect of your profile is public and available to see, I always recommend. And then you also want to check your industry. So behind the scenes, this doesn't show up publicly on your LinkedIn profile, but behind the scenes, your industry actually links to search results. So when someone is looking you up by location or looking up by industry, that'll affect how your profile comes up. So again, if you go into click like the pencil icon at the top of your profile, just check your industry, make sure that that is up to date and current to what you're doing. And then again, check your location. You'll see like the location is listed at the top of your profile. Again, affects how people search you. And then you also want to add another option. You don't have to do this, but you can also add a pronunciation of your name. So basically doing this helps, like, for example, like my last name, like usually no one knows how to pronounce my last name. So something like that would help so that people, can know how to pronounce your name and just avoid that awkward moment of like someone saying your name wrong or trying to introduce you and saying your name wrong. Again, just another option there. And then what it'll look like when you add it is it'll be like a little speaker icon next to your name. And then just make sure, one thing to know with both the 30-second video and the speaker icon and adding the pronunciation, you can actually only do that via the app on your phone. So that option is not available on your computer. And then yeah, and then how to update these, you should see like a pencil icon at the top of your profile towards the right. And that kind of allows you to edit a lot of those things at the top of your profile. So the next part is your LinkedIn headline. So the biggest thing with your LinkedIn headline, you want to make sure that it's short and concise. A lot of times, people have pretty long headlines, and not that that's a bad thing, but the biggest thing about your headline is you can actually see it before you click into someone's profile. So if you have like a long sentence, then someone can't read the sentence, right? Just figure out what you do. So just kind of having something that is short and concise that kind of creatively tells people what you do without it just being your job title. And I usually just tell people to kind of think of maybe a tagline their company has, or just something you find yourself saying a lot about what you do, right? So for myself, I used to tell people that I do LinkedIn profile optimizations, and soon realized that nobody knew what that meant. So I just started saying I write people stories for their LinkedIn profile. So that's what my headline says. Because I focus on the story aspect of that. And then for your contact information, this is a really important section that I find a lot of people forget to update and include. I myself will go to people's profiles quite regularly to try to find a phone number or an email. Again, they're somewhere in my contacts, but sometimes it's just easier to find it on their profile than trying to search through old emails. So just with your contact information, make sure to personalize your LinkedIn URL. So if you don't, it'll be like your name, and then it'll be a bunch of random numbers. So just make sure to go in and update that. And then again, that also allows you, if you want to include it on, an email signature, a business card, a resume, whatever, it allows you to kind of use that link and not have a super long link. Make sure to add your website, phone number, and email. Pretty self-explanatory, just have those up to date. And then you also have the option to add your birthday, which I definitely encourage people to do. It's just the month and day. And again, you can make that viewable only to your connections. Obviously, I know none of us are a huge fan of giving away a bunch of personal information publicly. So again, just you can make that viewable to your connections. And then the next is the featured section. So this is, yeah, sure.
Sorry to interrupt, but real quickly back to the personalizing your
Uh-huh.
LinkedIn URL. Is it pretty like intuitive to see how you do that? If you
Yeah, I
don't
think so.
or-
There's usually like at the top, it'll have something about your LinkedIn URL and you can click in and personalize that.
Okay.
Yeah, or honestly, like any of these things, if you don't know how to do them, if you just look up like how to personalize my LinkedIn URL, like LinkedIn has like a help page and it'll basically tell you how to do everything. So a simple Google search, you can also figure out how to do pretty much anything. So that can be helpful. Yeah, I've done that myself. Like just it'll like pop up LinkedIn help and it'll have instructions on how to do different things, which is helpful. And then featured section. So basically, like I said, it's very underutilized. So if you don't know what it is, if you've been on someone's profile and you see like maybe their website featured or a link or a blog or whatever, it'll show up like a picture and then there'll be like a title and a description. And so basically, what it does, it allows you to showcase kind of some things that you want showcased on your profile. So what you can include a post or a link or a media item. So like for me, I currently have a post of an event that I spoke at, and then I have a direct link to my website. And then you can also change the featured image if it's a website. So this is actually something I'm pretty sure is pretty new. It's in the past, you wouldn't be able to change the thumbnail image, but if it is a link to a website, you can go in and change the image, because if you don't, sometimes there'll be no image or there'll be some weird image that is like you don't want there. So you can update that image. And then also just making sure to personalize the wording of the featured section. There's a title and a description. Again, it doesn't have to be super long, just personalizing it to say what that is, because otherwise it'll be blank or it'll just automatically fill it into something that you might not necessarily want. And then the about section. So this is, like I said, my favorite part of the profile. This is really where you can share your story and your career journey. So obviously, in the world we live in on social media, like there's a lot of people that are not really genuine, right? They're very fake, whether it be your average person or just a famous person. And so with this part, it's really just being genuine and telling your story and your career journey. And, because kind of if you're on LinkedIn, right, you're either trying to grow your professional network, gain clients or hire or look for a job. So, and this is also kind of said to be the #1 section that recruiters look at. And then the second point, just make sure that it's just not like your sales pitch of kind of like, here's all the services I offer. Again, just because, it doesn't really tell anybody anything about you. And most likely the people probably won't be as likely to read it, because again, you can showcase your services at the top of your profile, and there's so many other places you can showcase what you have to offer. So this section really gets into telling your story, and then kind of just some formatting for how I do it. So kind of the first sentence should be, I have paragraph there, but more of a sentence, just introducing yourself and why you love what you do. So like for me, I think I have like, as the founder and owner of Impressions Matter, I am, and then I'll say I'm passionate about helping people tell their stories through their LinkedIn profiles, right? Or like something like that, just kind of introducing who you are, what is your position, and then kind of why do you love what you do. And then the second paragraph, kind of get into like, how do you get into what you currently do? Like think about like when you're networking, the most common questions a lot of people get like, oh, what do you do? How did you get into that, right? So in the about section, really share in the beginning, like, how did you get into what you currently do? And then in the third paragraph, that's kind of where you kind of share a little bit more about like your current role, what do you do? What are some of the things you've been able to accomplish? And then in, again, another line break in the fourth one, just a sentence, what do you do outside of work? What do you enjoy doing in your free time? And then another line break, and then paragraph 5 would just be a sentence of how can somebody best connect with you? So is that a LinkedIn message? Is that a phone call? Is that an email? Is that a text? How can someone best connect with you? And then The next section is your work and volunteer experience. So you can see there, I won't read it out, but just kind of a list of what to include to make sure to have all of those things included, and linking your company to the LinkedIn company page if they have one is really helpful. And then you want to add a description. So the biggest thing with this, make sure it's written in first person. It only has to be a few sentences. The biggest thing is just don't like copy and paste a list of bullet points from your resume. You want it to be, again, personalized. So just make sure that, again, a few sentences, what do you do in that role? Again, first person, it doesn't have to be super complicated. And then you also want to make sure to add media items. So this is a place where you can showcase kind of an example of your work or what you've done. And you can do that with each experience. So you can link like a PDF media item, a link. That's, again, showcasing kind of what you have done. And then also reordering the experience section. So LinkedIn automatically reorders it by date. But if you have maybe 2 experiences that are present where you're working for someone and you have your own business or whatever, you can also reorder that, because whatever is the top experience is what's linked at the top of your profile on the right-hand side. So again, make sure that's updated so that the current one is what shows up if somebody looks you up. And then also just keeping your experience up to date. A lot of times we add a new experience and then we forget to go back and edit the old experience. So like if you have a new experience that you're adding and then your past experience is no longer current, just make sure to kind of reword some of that to be in past tense language, and just updating that can be helpful. And then, so the next part of your profile is your education. So pretty self-explanatory. Just make sure you have your education there and up to date. School, degree name, when you completed it, keeping that up to date. And then you also have the option to add license or certificates. This is a great section. Again, if you've gotten one, to kind of highlight that you've gotten that. And for that, you just need to have the license name and the organization that issued it to add that. And then another option, if you don't have any license or certificates, if you take like a LinkedIn learning course, you can actually add that there. So you do have to have LinkedIn Premium, but even if you just do a free month of LinkedIn Premium just to try out a few LinkedIn learning courses, that'll add something to your profile for that section.
Okay, question on that, the licenses or certificates. How, can I write down that I took a LinkedIn optimization course and put it down under there? Or does it really have to be like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it does usually have to be pretty specific because they do have like requirements and what you add. Like I said, you have to have that linked to like what was the name of the license and the organization.
Okay.
But when you're in the LinkedIn learning course, when you finish it, it'll show an option to make a post about it or add it to your profile. So it links right after you complete it.
Okay, so even if I go to a seminar on like this seminar,
Yeah.
I can't really put that as a certificate or
Unless
unless
it would be more for the LinkedIn learning course. Yeah.
Yeah, it was connected to that. I just finished a certification course, and when it's a true certification course, then you have to accomplish a number of hours, and they generate an electronic version of your certificate.
Gotcha.
They will give you a URL, and when you add certification, they ask you for the field for that URL.
Thank you.
So when you have it just on your profile, people can click on it, and we'll see a copy of the certificate.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then your skill section. So with your skill section, again, this is sometimes a section that people don't always invest as much time in. They'll just add a few skills and then like forget about it. And it's just important because it's an opportunity to showcase your expertise. And the more endorsements you get, the better you show up in the LinkedIn search results. With that, just make sure to reorder your skills. The biggest thing is that you want the top 3 is what you can view before you have to click view more. So make sure that those top 3 skills are the most relevant to what you're currently doing. Because again, if someone goes in to try to endorse you and it's not relevant and they know you for what you currently do, they might just, not endorse you. So make sure that those are up to date. As far as amount of skills to have. If you do have 35 skills, it again provides a natural boost to your profile. Which I know that like seems like a lot, but there's a way to add that many without feeling like you have to be a jack of all trades. It's really like think about like specific skill sets that you've utilized in each different position you've had. And also when you add a thoroughly detailed experience section, the LinkedIn will actually suggest skills to you as well. And then another new option is you can actually link your skills to an experience. So you'll see there actually the list of things that you can link it to. But yeah, I would definitely recommend linking it mainly to the experience. And then what that does is, number one, if someone, is trying to endorse you for something and that's linked to the experience, they can figure out like, how do they know you? Do they know you from a job or, what organization do they know you from? And that can help them know what to endorse you for. As well as in the experience section, when you link it, it'll actually show a list of skills next to that experience and what you have connected to that experience. Yeah.
With endorsements.
Yeah.
Is there, like, around that? Or I just don't. I'm familiar with- I've had people endorse
Right.
me, and it's like a friend. I think it's shows too. Like,
Okay.
is it a good idea? Yeah. Like,
Yeah, so definitely with endorsements, I think it's one of those things where like people forget to like people be like, how do I increase my endorsements? And it's like the thing is that I think people forget to do it, and unless you're like some high level like executive where like everybody knows you and is going and endorsing you. Honestly, like what I did is I kind of went through my connections and the people that I knew well enough. I just went through and I endorsed them. And then if they would give me a message like, hey, thanks for endorsing me. And then I just was like, hey, would you mind endorsing, my skills? Or again, I would reach out to just some people that know me well enough. But I would say the biggest thing is just that there's someone that you know well enough, that they know you well enough to endorse you, or that you know well enough to endorse them. Because again, like, you want them, if, again, like when you go on the skill section, if someone that you're connected to endorse that person, it'll actually show you like your connection, so and so endorse this person. And so it's again kind of a way to see mutual connections that you might have with that person. So I would say the biggest thing is just make sure that you know the person well enough, that they know you well enough to be endorsing you, and then you know that. Yeah. And then, so the last section is accomplishments. So again, a section that a lot of people don't realize is there. So you can see the list there of all the things you can include. I've just highlighted some of the common things that people do have. So for a publication, if you have an article or a blog you've written for someone else, that's an option to highlight that there. Language, if you speak another language, I do like to say that because sometimes people will just say English, and I'm like, so that's if you speak a second language, right? It's not just your main language. So add that if you do speak another language. Organizations, so like Rockstar Connect, if you're part of Rockstar Connect, you should have that under organizations. So networking groups, that you regularly attend, including under there, again, all of those, having all that information in there helps people look through your profile and see how might I know this person or how might we have mutual connections. And then at the bottom, you can also add causes that you support. So with that, the causes that you support, so there's like a checklist that you can pick from. So there's a bunch of different things: education, politics, economic empowerment, just some different options to add. With that, I usually just, again, you can choose what you want. Maybe looking for maybe what causes are kind of related to what you do can be helpful to kind of direct you as to which ones to do. So yeah, so that's kind of the profile. Now kind of transitioning more into the management of the profile. Before kind of I get started on that, I would have the question, what are some common mistakes that you guys see people making on LinkedIn when managing and being active? What?
Say that.
Oh yeah, what are some common mistakes you see people making on LinkedIn? Like posting,
profiles.
okay, yeah,
But there's nothing.
Yeah.
Or no image.
okay, yeah. Yeah, that's a big one.
No
Yeah.
activity.
Mm-hmm,
You only see a profile.
right. Yeah, definitely.
Or like in their description of what they do. I provide the highest level of superior, blah, 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 blah,
Right.
blah. It's like, well, what do you do? You know, what does that mean? You know, where it's just so flowery and vague with big words that
Right.
they probably looked at the thesaurus for. That's, and you look,
Right.
what do
Yeah.
you do?
Yeah. Anyone else?
Don't, I make this mistake all the time, but I forget to check. If it's
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, over to-
Also, another thing that actually annoys me a lot today, I see posts on LinkedIn that practically belong on Facebook or Instagram rather than on LinkedIn. They're like,
Yeah.
try to understand the identity of the platform.
Right. Yeah. Someone usually always says that. And I would say that's a huge thing is that, like, again, your profile is public, right? So should you be posting pictures of your kids? Should you be posting, you know, oh, I got married? Like, all of those things are great. But again, those are more for Facebook and Instagram. Because again, all of those, if your profile is public, everyone can see that. And that's why on Facebook and Instagram, you can choose who can access and see that stuff. On LinkedIn, again, your hope is to view and reach people, right? So again, like you said, that professional, being professional, posting content. Yeah, that's huge. Yeah. Yeah. So those are all really good things. Definitely, definitely like you highlighted, just having like actually having information on your profile that clearly shows what you do. So just some things before thinking about starting to get active and interacting on LinkedIn. So we just went through the profile. So it is definitely really important that you tackle your profile first before you get into being super active and managing LinkedIn. Just because, again, at the end of the day, if you're trying to interact on LinkedIn, right, the goal at the end of the day is for people to click and view your profile and to learn more about you. And you're trying to create those touch points across your profile. So if you don't have a good profile to begin with, it's not necessarily going to be as effective when you start commenting and posting and all of that stuff. So just make sure that you are, have a complete profile before you, a lot of people, they just start with how do I manage? How do I start being active on LinkedIn? And I'm like, all right, well, how's your profile, right? And that's why for my business, I really focus on the profile because that has to be really solid and really good and thoroughly written out before you get into, that ongoing management of that. And then I guess, again, this is kind of like what we were just talking about, just a note on kind of interactions, whether you're liking, commenting, or interacting. Again, anything you do on LinkedIn has the potential to be seen by your network. So unlike Facebook and Instagram, where a comment or a like is really mainly for the author of that post, on LinkedIn, commenting is actually one of the best things you can do because when you scroll through your feed, you'll see your different connections and what they commented on things. So again, just being conscientious of what you are doing in your interaction and knowing that anyone has the potential to see that. And then another thing to do when you're interacting with people on LinkedIn, it's great to interact with your current network, but another thing you have the option to do is look up people to follow. So one thing I encourage people to do is just kind of like look up some keywords related to what you do and just kind of find some of the top people on LinkedIn, in your industry related to what you do that you could follow, just to kind of be aware of what they're posting and then interact with that. And then just some things to think about before you post, who do you want to see this? Again, kind of like I said earlier, like on LinkedIn, I'm connected to everyone I've worked for in the past. I'm connected to a ton of recruiters, like all of that, like your boss, recruiters, everyone can see your interaction on LinkedIn. So just, again, being aware, professional, make sure that it's professional in nature, and just make sure that, and with that, just, obviously stay away from religion and politics. Like, again, we see that on Facebook, right? Like, it just goes crazy. And again, like at the end of the day, you're trying to build relationships. And so you don't want to do anything that's going to, hurt those relationships in a negative way. I just don't think it's worth it to engage with something if that's going to be an issue. And then just making sure that it's something of value to others. That's a huge thing. So another mistake that people make is all they ever post is just promotional things about their business. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't really look at that. Like, I just scroll past it. So on LinkedIn, content is really king on LinkedIn. And so again, as you're posting, as you create that value, really just think about like what you do and what are kind of like the most common questions you get asked by maybe your ideal client, and then just write a post about that, right? Like it doesn't have to be super long, and it shouldn't be super long. And you should be, kind of breaking up that content, but just again, what are kind of the questions that people are asking you, that you find, and then start, building up some content related to some of those things can be really helpful.
So a question on content.
Yeah.
I know that, I mean, you see the same thing over and over again if you're in a certain industry.
Right.
And what about taking, you saw an article if I saw an article in, Senior Citizen Daily or something.
Right.
Is there, as long as you credit it, there's no problem like posting it? Or
Yeah.
what
No,
about like
that's fine.
copywriting and stuff? As long as you put like the link in to the article and then you write a few
Right.
words, like paraphrase it,
Mhm.
that's a good way to get that.
Yeah. So you
Okay.
could definitely share information from an article. One thing to know is that if you do link something in LinkedIn, it can sometimes hurt the reach of that post, just because LinkedIn wants you to stay on LinkedIn, right? So if you link something that takes you off LinkedIn isn't always a huge fan of that. But like, even if you
And you
again,
put
like,
it in the comments and then
right,
they
yeah,
so
can
you
link it in
say
the comments
a great
as well.
article about I don't know,
Right.
whatever, and then see it in the comments below, and then you plop
Yeah,
the
and
link
then-
in the comments, then LinkedIn really doesn't know it doesn't see that you're pulling people away.
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing with that is just make sure to like have a post that kind of shares like just highlight like some of the points that stuck out
Right.
to you, right? So the people interact.
Right, like paraphrase
Yeah,
or
right.
summarize the article, and then
Yeah.
put the article not in the post but in the comments.
So yeah, that's a great option. Or you can put it in the post. It's really up to you.
Okay.
People do. I do a mix. Other people do a mix. So yeah, I honestly find either way, but just being aware of that again. Sometimes links don't always do as well. Yeah.
And some other thing to explore, there are many people who are actually writing their own articles
Yeah.
within LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are very good articles.
Yeah.
Sometimes doing a search about the same topic will lead you to members who have written something and posted it on their profiles, original content. You can refer that, and that increases the activity within it.
Right, yeah. So there is like that own blogging feature where you can link almost a blog that'll open up and it'll stay in LinkedIn. So yeah, that's also a really good.
Is that sharing? Like if I know you've written something, do I share it? Do I how
Yeah,
do you do that?
you could share it, or just directly copy the link and put it in your post. The biggest thing, just in general with sharing, is if you are going to share something, just make sure that again you're adding your own feedback into that, because usually if you just share someone, like the reach and the interactions are not as much. So just being aware of that. If it's like an article, you could just link it right in your post. So yeah. And then just some things of how to construct a good post. Make sure to break up the content every few sentences. So again, you don't want to have the never-ending paragraph, right? You want to break up your content so that it's easy to kind of read. It's easy to skim. Make sure that kind of the content you post, posting bite-sized content. So this is where like I could do, you could write like a blog, and you probably turn that blog into multiple posts, because you want the content to be helpful and good, but you don't want it to be like, it's just, small bits of information. And then also ending your post with a question can be helpful, just to encourage people to comment and reply to that question in the comment section. And then I won't read that out, but you can see in the notes just kind of an example of kind of how I would write something just about accepting connection requests. And then as you get into commenting, so kind of like I said, commenting on LinkedIn is one of the best things you can do. And I would encourage, after you get your profile up, before you even really start looking at posting, I would really encourage you to start finding those right people to follow and just start interacting with people, because again, that shows up in people's feed a ton when you comment on things. So when you're commenting on things, obviously make sure to read the post. The worst thing you can do is say something in the comment that was already in the post, clearly outlined, ask a question that's answered in the post. So just make sure you read the post. You want to mention the author, so you can type in the @ symbol and you can tag the author. And you actually, on LinkedIn, you don't have to be connected to them to tag them. So that's one good thing to know. And then just make sure that you're leaving a thoughtful and engaging comment. So just kind of saying things like, I agree, thanks for posting that. Like, it doesn't really show the author that you read it or kind of what you thought about that. So make sure just to leave a thoughtful comment, what stood out to you? What maybe did you agree with? What did you not agree with? And then also just asking a question to keep the conversation going can be great. Can be helpful as well. So just, again, if you have a follow-up question, if they're replying to their comments, it kind of gives them a good way to just reply to that comment, and it continue the engagement of the conversation. And then just kind of how to choose the best post to comment on. So this is kind of just what I do that I have found helpful and effective. People might tell you a lot of different things with this, but just, especially if it's someone that has maybe a larger following base, I'm looking to see if they reply to their comments, because again, like if you want to comment, right, you're looking to engage with them, right? So just finding, again, someone that is interacting on their posts and replying to questions and comments. And again, you would probably be surprised. I follow tons of people that 80,000, 100,000 followers, and they reply to all their comments, because again, that expands the reach of their own post. So it's not uncommon to find people that do have a large following, that they do comment and interact with all their posts. And then, related to something you do, something that interests you, just that it's relevant to you in some way, right? Like and that the post adds value. So, like I follow like recruiters, and then I'll follow other people that post about LinkedIn, and then just some, a lot of people that post about leadership. So those are kind of maybe some of the things I would engage with. And then just kind of another thing to realize is that just as you continue to engage, people will start to engage with your content if you are regularly posting.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you said commenting on your comments, so if I post something
Mhm.
and Janet says, "Hey, that's a great article, Lisa, I like your point on XYZ,"
Right.
I should go back in and say, "Thank you, Janet, for reading my
Yeah.
post."
Right.
And then if Chuck does something, then hey, or
Right. Yeah.
I should go through, if people are commenting, I should respond to pretty much every one.
Yeah, I would
Okay.
encourage you to do so, because it does, again, expand the reach of your post.
Thank
Yeah. And then just some general things. Obviously, I won't get super in depth to this, but as far as there is definitely, LinkedIn does have an algorithm side of it that does impact your post and the reach. So just the general rule of thumb with getting interactions on your post is, again, the more people that are liking it, the more people that are commenting and interacting with your post, the more reach your post will have, and the more LinkedIn will push that out to others. Because again, like if you comment on something, a lot of that'll go out to your network, and your network will see that, and then people that are not directly connected to you but have mutual connections that'll start showing up in their feed. And then but you also, one thing to know is that you don't need a large network for your content to go far. It's really only, again, a handful of people. And then I already mentioned this about, adding a link, it can negatively affect the performance. And then another thing to do is look up your SSI score. So it's called your Social Selling Index score. It's through LinkedIn. It measures how well you're establishing your personal brand, finding the right people, engaging with insights, and building relationships. So it's kind of just a score out of 100. And it's just kind of a way, like, again, if you're trying to be active on LinkedIn, just kind of a measurement to see how well you're doing. And with that, a lot of just, it gives you a few different statistics. So just kind of focusing on that general overall improvement instead of it, getting, the score, like getting it super high, kind of just focus on that increased improvement week by week. And then as far as how to find your score, if you just type into Google, like find my LinkedIn SSI score, you can find a link usually to click in and view that for free. Again, that's not something that you need a premium account to view, which is really helpful.
Now, is that SSI score, is that public or is that just private for you to?
It's private to you. Yeah. Yeah. So that's just for you. And then profile analytics. So obviously, I'm sure you guys have seen this when you make a post. You can see your profile views, your post impressions, and your search appearances. So just making sure to kind of look at those profile analytics kind of gives you an idea of how far your profile and your post and your audience is reaching and being seen. And then if you click in, it'll actually allow you to kind of see more specifics of like what type of industry are people viewing and viewing your profile post, and like kind of gives you a lot of specifics into that if you click into view more. And then the next thing is just kind of getting into growing your network. So this is kind of probably the biggest thing that people ask a lot of questions. You want to continue to expand the people that you're connected to. So the biggest thing I would say is when you're trying to connect with someone, you have the ability to add a personalized message. So with that, just adding that personalized message can be very helpful. Someone, even if you don't know the person and you want to connect, like someone is way more likely to connect with you if you add a message versus if you just press the connect button. And then just some, I have some examples there. These are some messages I've sent. So, or just some examples first of what not to do. I'm just like, hey, I noticed you viewed my profile and thought it would make sense to connect, right? Like I view tons of people's profile every day and I don't know who they are, right? So for someone to say that, I'm like, okay, well, why does it make sense to connect? Like, I don't know you. So it's not even bad to say, hey, I want to connect because I saw you view my profile, but it's like, why do you want to connect, right? Like if that, and it's something kind of a generic message that people will send to just try to have a higher network by looking at the people that have viewed their profile. And then the second one, sorry if I'm being too intrusive, but do you need help managing social media? The common 1,000 messages we get in our inbox of people trying to sell their services on us. Again, obviously, and again, I don't help people on the prospecting side of LinkedIn, but there's a lot more helpful and effective ways even to prospect people if you're trying to do that. And then, so these are the two messages I pretty much send all the time when connecting with people. So again, I went to Rockstar Connect last week and I sent this message out to the people that I saw there. It was great It was great meeting you last week at Rockstar Connect. I look forward to connecting with you further. So that's really one of the biggest ways to increase your network. Again, you have a stack of business cards that you've got. Look those people up on LinkedIn, add a personalized message, connect with those people. That's a really great way to just continuing to increase your network little by little. And then another one, if you want to connect with someone, you don't necessarily know them, but you have been following them and you've been engaging with their content. I've really enjoyed the content you've been posting and would love to connect with you further. Because again, if they see those comments, they probably know your face, hopefully, and they've looked through that, so they probably know you. And then just some more information, vetting connection requests. Obviously, if someone's trying to sell you something, probably don't want to connect with them. And then also just being selective in who you accept. And then also, like, another thing is sometimes someone will be still trying to target you and sell you, but they won't send that kind of message. So even just clicking into their profile and like if someone that I don't know is sending a connection request and they're, a business coach, or they help you with your marketing, or like just some of those common things that like, that's probably a good sign. Even if they have a personalized message that's something else related connection, most likely that's probably a sign that they're just going to try to sell you something. But again, if you know them, like, that's a different story. And then, yeah, so just kind of vetting those connection requests. The value of your network is that you do, yeah. And that you do know those people. Are we almost at time?
No, I was just
Okay.
gonna say, I mean, it's typical as realtors,
Right.
right? When somebody sends a connection request, in their banner, it says, "We help realtors generate thousands of leads every month." And it's like,
Well, then you connect with them right away, don't you?
no, thank you. It's,
Yes.
from that standpoint, so you
Right.
can see, you can literally see the drool running down our
Right.
screen, with the messaging up there.
Yeah.
It's like, sorry, it's not what I'm looking for.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so it's like you said, it's pretty easy usually to figure out if someone's going to try to just sell you something on LinkedIn. And yeah, it's just not, I don't think it's a super effective way to try to do that. And then again, just managing your sent connection requests. So you'll see their instructions on how to do it. You can do your sent connection request. And then just again, managing that, if it's been over a week or even, you could get it to 2 weeks. And if someone's not accepting your connection within a week or two, they're probably not active on LinkedIn. So you can just go in and just remove that sent connection request, because again, if you are trying to connect with a lot of people that you know, and they're not accepting, there is that possibility for LinkedIn to flag your account and thinking that you're spam, you're trying to spam people and sending too many connection requests. So just again, keeping that up to date. And then just some things to know. There's not a way to remove those unaccepted connection requests in bulk. So you will have to go through and remove them. And when you remove them, it'll have, like, I guess, that scary message of like, you're going to have to wait 2 weeks to try to connect with them again. And I'm like, usually I'm like, I don't really care, because by then it's like, they're probably not on LinkedIn enough to really, connect with me anyways. And then again, you can request that person again if you do want to. And when you do that unsend, or even if you remove someone from your network, again, it doesn't notify that person, right? And that's, yeah.
Sorry, but it's a question about quantity versus quality. Since you're mentioning about removing someone, sometimes you think like more is better, growing your
Right.
network, but then do you think you should be selective? And if you have all connections that don't really relate to what you do or how you grow each other, what is your take on removing those connections?
So I definitely am a huge quality over quantity matters. Obviously, the value of your network on LinkedIn is that they're actually your network and that you actually know most of them. So of course, that doesn't mean that, don't accept anyone that you don't know. That's not necessarily what I'm saying, but I do genuinely encourage people to keep their network, to the most part, to people that make sense to connect with. And again, that sometimes that means that you grow your network over time a little bit slower. But again, if you just have like all these connections with people and you don't know them, then it's like, the value of your network is that you actually know those people. So definitely, I would say quality over quantity of connections. Yeah, it's huge. So yeah. And then just kind of a closing point, just some practical ways to grow your network. So I mentioned, following up on in-person networking opportunities. Just some ways, things that you can do. You can actually connect your cell phone and your email contacts. So that's just, again, a great way to do that every once in a while. Just see, is there anyone on LinkedIn that I should connect with that I know, that just hasn't popped up as they suggested. Obviously, if you have specific goals for like everyone usually wants to reach that 500 plus. Or if you're there, like maybe you're like, all right, now I want to do 1,000 plus or whatever it is. So just again, make goals that are realistic, grow your network slowly over time. And then it continue to invite connection and engagement by posting. Again, posting, it doesn't have to be crazy. If you follow some of the people that have a higher following, they might post once a day. I post twice a week. Again, it doesn't have to be crazy. You don't have to post every day. If you're posting content, good content, again, that's a ton of work, number one. And number two, if you're trying to post so much, you don't have time, then the quality of your content might go down. So just figure out what you have time to do. It does not have to be crazy. It doesn't have to, you want it to be consistent, right? So try to have some consistency with your posting, but again, it doesn't have to be crazy in your posting. And then just inviting, engaging with your connections when they post, engaging with those people that are already connected to you as well. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you, but I would definitely love to answer any questions you guys have for me. Yeah.
By the way, great job. I loved
Yes.
it. This is great.
Yeah.
You see what I do? I was curious about this, so I'm selfish, right? Hey, can you want to speak about this, LinkedIn? My question is the premium LinkedIn. Like, is that like a good investment, or is there certain businesses where it would be a better fit for that type of business when it comes to premium?
So I usually say for the average person, no, just because it's expensive. Like it's like $40 a month for premium.
Oh, wow.
And really, like, what it does, it allows you to see everyone that's viewed your profile, and I think it allows you a few other features. But unless you're like you know, doing like SalesNet, you know, having some of the other features where you're specifically using LinkedIn to like on that side of trying to prospect, like I don't really think having premium is of huge benefit just because like if it were cheaper, I would say sure, go for it. But I'm like $40 adds up pretty fast. And so I don't know. I would say probably not. Like I don't think it's worth it.
Thank you.
But yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad you're saying this because I've been having that expense, I mean, the investment.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
an expense, more than an investment, but it depends. Right now, for example, I'm a victim of the pandemic. I've been unemployed for more than a year, but it's quality over
Right.
whatever. Right?
Yeah.
I'm waiting, and I'm relatively new in Lancaster, so I'm trying to first establish the network. I know that the culture here takes even longer than usually in other parts of the country, so you need to allow them, and you need to earn trust. I am paying because in the meantime, I am developing myself, and I am taking the courses that they offer are very good quality, and in the long run, it is much cheaper than, let's say, purchasing courses
Right.
somewhere else. But once that is exhausted, then there's no reason to continue paying for that.
Yeah.
And I've been on that dilemma.
Right.
But right now, depending on the situation, for me, I think at this point, it is a good investment. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I have no income and I'm spending money.
Yeah. So like you said, if you're trying to utilize LinkedIn Learning and like some of those things and you're actively using some of that, definitely the investment is worth it. Yeah.
Now, for me, I mean, I just want to see, okay, who's looking at my profile,
Right.
right? But that's an expensive way to just see who's.
Right. And a lot of times you can see that without it. Like it does let you view quite a lot of people that are viewing your profile. So yeah, it is kind of annoying that it has that limitation. I kind of wish it was just that side was free because that's kind of what most people care about. But yeah. Anything else? Yeah.
I had a really major career
Uh-huh.
change. Do you recommend doing everything from, I mean, obviously the work itself, yes, but endorsements and all of that from the career, or do you think it's time to like get rid of it?
So I think like definitely you can keep it. That would come like make sure that you update your skills to be relevant to what you're currently doing. But like definitely like you want to keep that experience because again, it kind of even if it's different than what you're currently doing, like it kind of just shows what you've done in the past and you know, credibility wise. So I think it's okay to keep that, just making sure that maybe the focus of your profile, you know, update that experience, show what you're currently doing in the about section and all of that. Yeah.
Question for you.
Yeah.
So what's it like working with Impressions Matter?
With clients?
Yeah, well, what would the client experience be
Yeah.
like working with you?
Yeah, so for my business, what I do is basically what I told you for the profile. That's basically what I do for people. So I write out their whole profile. Kind of found a lot of people don't have time to do it themselves. So basically what that looks like is I have, we'll jump on a meeting or a Zoom call and I have really specific questions that I ask for every part of the profile. And then I will like write out that profile on a Google Doc, share it with that person so they can read over it and stuff. And then once they're done with that, I put it right into their profile. So it's not a ton of work other than the commitment of answering my questions and making sure to approve what I'm actually putting into your profile. So, yeah.
And what's the best way to reach you?
Yeah. So, I mean, I know you guys have my business card, so I really reply to everything. So LinkedIn message, email, phone call, text, whatever, it's totally fine. So,
What's the best phone number to reach you?
717-617-9171.
It's fucking insane.
Yeah, no, I'm forgetting that it's live, so it's like not a, yeah.
Well,
Sarah, I'll just mention, a friend of mine used it. I found out by accident. when I-
Okay. Okay.
Very
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, no, I had a lot of fun working with him.
Okay, well, once again, let's put our hands together for Sarah. And for everyone here that's live in the room, we do have you do have the opportunity to connect and, you know, establish those relationships. So that way, when you do send the LinkedIn connection requests, that you'll actually know the person that you're connecting with. Just as a reminder, we do have our Rockstar Connect Lancaster live monthly event coming up on September 8th at Stoner Grill. We do have a Facebook group. LinkedIn groups haven't really established that same functionality or prominence, at least what I've experienced. So I've made an attempt on LinkedIn, but it was very clunky and difficult to manage. So, but we do have 3,200 members on our Facebook group. So definitely you can make connections there on Facebook, make connection requests, etc. But what I've found in my experience through networking is that meeting somebody face to face, being able to see them in the whites of their eyes and having a drink in a casual environment, that's what we look to foster at Rockstar Connect Lancaster. So come on out, see us next month, September 8th, 6 to 8 p.m. at Stoner Grill. We're going to sign off the live stream and we're going to do some networking here on the 6th floor in Lancaster. Thanks so much.